This one's about nice guy types. Okay. If a performer type nice guy performs for unhealthy reasons, it seems like it should be possible to be a performer but not have all the unhealthy nice guy attributes. What would that person's relationship with performing look like? A little bit of a recap if anyone's watching that doesn't know. I made up these kind of five types of nice guy. And the performer type is the extrovert who has an external locus of control. And what that means is they think they have to put on a show to get approval from others in order to feel good about themselves. So they're seeking approval and validation actively. So they might actually not appear to be socially shy in any way. They might be the kind of people who goes on stage or always tells a joke or center of attention, high performers, high achievers. They do well. They're in the sports team or they're in the band or they're just the party person, the connector. But it seems that their confidence, or at least they know this, their confidence is dependent on how people react to them, right? I think a great example of a genre of people like this would be stand-up comedians. There's exceptions, of course, but generally I'd say a lot of stand-up comedians at least start as performer nice guy types. All right, they've found a place where they can manage how to get laughs on cue. The other type that might do this is the controller type, which is also the extrovert who manipulates people into liking them. So they don't necessarily perform, but rather play mind games to get approval. Both would apply well to stand-up comedy, right? So there's a stand-up comedian who's just a naturally funny person and sort of double down on that to get as much approval as possible. And then you get those stand-up comedians, they might not actually be that funny when you hang out with them, but they've learned how to be funny because it's a good way to get approval. And that's a slightly different thing. Performing such a valuable thing to do. All the art we enjoy is some form of performance, especially the live stuff, dancing, music, comedy, magic, even just somebody telling a good story at a dinner party is a performance of some kind. And if everybody stopped doing that, we might have a fairly dull world. So I'm very open to the idea that there is healthy and unhealthy performing. All right, artistic or entertaining expression can be done in a healthy way. So it's all about motives. Why are you doing it? What are you attached to in terms of outcomes? See, the performer type nice guy, I mean, on one level, he might just be having a good time as well and doing what he loves. Like, I'm the performer type of nice guy. So I played in bands for most of my life. So getting up on stage and playing music. And I genuinely liked music, right? Most of the time, the music I was playing, I loved the music. I'd listen to it by myself. That's how much I loved it. And then there was like the covers band I played in, where I might like two of the songs out of the whole 4 hour set that we played, but I got a lot of approval for being in a band that played music that everyone liked. So in the metal band, nobody liked our music, but I liked it. And then the covers band, everyone liked it, but I would never listen to it. I was also the funny type of performer. So if you put me at a party or something, I'm always telling, well, not really jokes, more like funny stories or taking the piss out of myself, out of other people, bantering, having everyone laugh as much as possible. And that was very much like a mixture of I was genuinely enjoying myself and having a laugh. Like there's people I do this with and I'm not trying to get approval, like my best friend, for example, we're just having a laugh together. And then there were other times where it was much more about me sort of controlling the approval I was getting from the room, trying to be the funny guy and sort of the Jim Carrey approach to life. It's always been a mixed bag for me until I started my recovery, where there was healthy and unhealthy motives. But the primary underlying motive had always been to get approval and love and validation from people. And so for one to be a healthy performer, that needs to be removed or reduced as much as possible. And a key way to look at it is a healthy performer would not be largely affected by the reaction of the crowd. All right. So a healthy stand-up comic would keep doing their routine even if they were bombing. They'd be like, fuck it, I don't care if you laugh. I love doing this shit. I'm going to do it anyway. A musician would keep playing even if the audience walked out, which has literally happened to me before, more than once. A magician would just laugh with the crowd if he fucked up a trick and they called him out, and he'd just keep doing his magic. He wouldn't be like, "Oh my God, this is a disaster." So the healthy performer doesn't require the validation and approval from the audience to enjoy the performing. If that enjoyment of the performance depends on the other people, then obviously your primary motive is approval and validation, and you're set up to fail and you're being unhealthy. We can see this with stand-up comics, especially. I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy, and you can see it as they get older, the real veterans that have done it for decades. At some point, they transition from clearly seeking approval, and it's got that like brittle, forced energy to their act, where they're like over the top. And they eventually sort of calm down, usually get funnier when they don't give a shit anymore, where they don't mind if the audience hates them. They don't mind if they get heckled. They enjoy it. I've seen this with Bill Burr. If you watch Bill Burr's earlier stuff, I mean, it's still funny, but he's clearly like trying hard and he's clearly like seeking out that laugh from the audience. Whereas you watch him lately, he doesn't care if the whole audience is feeling awkward and awful. He's just like, so, and he's just in their face about it. He enjoys however they react. He thinks it's funny to him, if he pisses everyone off. And partly that comes from the competence of knowing, okay, I am actually good at this, so I can calm down now. I don't need other people to remind me of that. But what I'd suggest is, in order to make that transition, to go from seeking approval and validation to performing for a healthy reason, is you have to find some way to insert into your performance something that would detach you from the outcomes. Now, this can actually be done as a kind of exercise where you manufacture it. For example, if I was a musical performer and I was playing cover songs that everyone liked, I might throw in a song that I just want to play for me and I know they're not going to like. Or I might throw in one of my own songs and I have no idea how they're going to react to it. And even if they hate it, I'll still play it every time because it's one of my songs and I want to give life to it. Or a comedian, let's say a joke's not funny, double down on that. Keep going. If you're going to bomb hard, like destroy yourself. Have the experience of like ruining the performance rather than trying to save it, rather than trying to get the laughs back. Referring back to Bill Burr, the comedian, there's this kind of moment where he broke out. It's called the famous Philly rant. You can look it up on YouTube, somebody recorded it. Long story short, he was doing a set in Philadelphia, which are notoriously ruthless as an audience. Like comedians hate going to Philly for gigs because if you don't make the audience laugh, they just rip you to pieces. And the backstory is a lot of the comics that gone on before him had just been like eaten alive by this audience. This audience was being particularly cruel this night. And he just had enough. And he comes out, he doesn't even do his set. He just abuses them for 15 minutes. He just gets all his anger out and just vents on them. And I don't think he meant this, but he was incredibly funny as he's doing it. Like he's just ripping them to pieces with really clever, witty insults. And a few minutes in, they just start laughing. They just think it's hilarious. But he's just off on one because he's genuinely angry. And I think that was a pivotal moment, or I know it was a pivotal moment for him in his career, but also for his insiders to, I can just come out here and say what I really want to say. I don't have to try and make them laugh. I can just have a rant about the shit that pisses me off, and they think that's funny. And so he unintentionally found the thing that actually gets the most approval and validation through letting go of that and actually coming out to speak his mind. And that would be, I'd say a general element to this kind of performance thing is your performance honest? Even if it's something artistic like dancing or music, is it really what you want to do? Is that really what you want to say? Is it really what you want to put out there? Because if you've adjusted what you want to put out there in order to get more approval from them, you're already into that performer type nice guy. But if you're like, I don't care if nobody fucking likes this needs to get out of my body and into the world, then that's what I'd call healthy performing. I've worked with quite a few quite high level musicians, DJs and such. And there's always the music that they sell and the music they really want to make. And what they're missing is turning the music they really want to make into the music they sell. Right? They always change the music to match what they think people like. And in doing so, they just become generic. Like it's good, People like it, but they're never going to be some breakthrough new artist because they're not letting that stuff out. They're too scared of the reaction it's going to get. You have to be willing to bomb, to be hated. When I played in my metal bands, there were times where we were asked to stop because they didn't like us so much. At least one time, because we just went to the wrong venue this time. There's a venue that played like jazz music, and then we came in like sort of Lamb of God, and about three songs in, they're like, "We will pay you to stop. We're sorry that we let this continue." We'd cleared the place out. It was empty, right? And that was more real. Like we were going hard as if there was an audience of 1,000 people moshing, right? Like that is sticking to like us putting out the music we wanted to put out because there was no pleasing this audience. Fuck, there's no audience left, right? So there's been moments in my performer life where I've done it for the right reasons, and it feels great when I do it for the right reasons, and I can maintain that forever. I can always do that. But if you get exhausted by your performance because it's so dependent on how you get the validation from others, or you find that like if you miss a beat or you cause an awkward moment or someone doesn't like you, it crushes you. These days my performing is this, like making videos and such. And, if I find there's a negative comment or somebody even has critique about the technical element of the video, if that affects me, then I was doing the video for the wrong reason. And that's a tough balancing act because at the same time, I also want to give something valuable. And this is the same with all musicians, artists, magicians, whatever. It's not like I'm just going to do what I like and it doesn't help anybody. I want to actually give the audience something. There's a genuine giving in there. But think of it like first I'll take the risk that they won't find it valuable in order to find what they do find valuable. But I'm willing for it to bomb and die. And if you go through, say, if you go through my YouTube channel, you'll see that. Like most of my videos have fuck all views. I've kind of taken a risk on what I think people want to hear or answered a question that maybe some people want the answer to, but only a very small niche. And I could go and dig up the kind of content ideas that always get a lot of views and clicks and likes. I know how to do that. I resist the urge to do that because that would not be authentic. That would be being a performer, right? Clickbaiting. But I'm always trying to play that kind of balance between saying what I want to say, but also giving people what they need to help them. And trying to find out, not compromising, but trying to find out where those two places meet. So, like this, when somebody asks a question that I want to answer, that's the perfect combination. Now, it might be only the person who asks this question is interested in the answer and nobody else watches this video. I have to make this video with that in mind. And that'll be my final point, actually, to kind of maintain your authenticity, but also do it for others, is choose one person to do it for. That person might even be an avatar in your head. They might not be a real person, but more like an idealized receiver of this thing. So let's say you're writing poetry, write it for the person who needs this right now. Let's say you're writing a poem about death. Think of somebody recently who you knew went through a grieving process and you want to write something to help that one person. Rather than going, how do I write a poem that everyone's going to like and make me famous? You write, how do I help that one person with my art? And I found that this actually allows you to get out of the nice guy thing because nice guy generally tries to help a lot of people. Nice guy tries to get a lot of approval from as many people as possible. It actually takes courage and authenticity to go, I'm just going to help one person and maybe only that one person will appreciate it. And they might not even appreciate it. Quite often I do videos like this where I answer someone's question. They've actually asked the question and I answer for them and they don't appreciate the answer, but some other random person does. So I don't actually know who this performance is for, but I know that I want to say what I'm saying right now and I'm trying to help someone out. And that's kind of the healthiest combination I've ever found.